Go.
Fantastic. I am not going to change your mind for the most of it, because most of you said no. Disagree. I disagree too. And the reason that it's a horrible metric is that it's measuring your team, but in a horrible way. It's variable. There's so much difference that you can have. There's not just the one item. There's a whole layer of things around it that are out of the recruiter's controls. Most important for me, it encourages shortcuts. It's a line I've used today already, but I'm going to do it again. When you put a whole bunch of recruiters and you focus them just on time, and you make it all about action, 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 you put them under a great deal of pressure. What you do when you put recruiters under pressure is you don't always get diamonds, you generally just get crushed recruiters. Not a good situation, not great for team cohesion. And it also doesn't align with the business goals. It's only about your recruitment team. So measuring you, measuring business impact, and creating the future are the three sets of metrics that you should be looking at. Better metrics, as I say, I was under the impression that I was advised that time to hire was still a metric being used by everyone. I'm really pleased to hear it's not. I'm not going to change your mind. Measuring you, if you want to do that and just focus on your team, cost per hire is a much better metric. Funnel conversions are a much better metric. Offer acceptance, a much better metric. I'm not going to read them. You can read them faster than I can in 5 minutes. Each of those provides a different way of slicing and providing incremental value and generating continuous improvement if you're focusing on your team. If you want to align with the business, which I strongly suggest is the only way to real success, measuring things like quality of hire, time to productivity and satisfaction for the employee, the hiring manager, the candidate, and potentially cost of inaction. If you're looking on going further, metrics such as creating future impact is probably where you want to be looking. That's where we're getting into the real analytics, so things like mobility, after being brought on board, diversity, brand impact, innovation capability. Now, obviously, lead and lag metrics make a big difference in each of these, and there's variations within. I don't have time to go into those. So what I am going to do, though, is look at just a couple of one from each section. So if you're measuring you, operational efficiency, measuring the funnel, and measuring what steps happen at each phase in the funnel, not necessarily placing a time limit on them, but understanding the conversions, why people are converting from top of the funnel through down to the bottom of the funnel. Far more interesting metric. It gives you insight into the candidates you're bringing through. It gives you insight into your processes and your systems and your platforms. It provides real insight into the work that you're doing, so that as you're pulling that apart to understand what it is you should be doing in the future, how to improve, you've got the data and it's all based on reality. One of my personal favorites is the empty chair. So where we have time to fill being when you get the rec through to close, that's time bound based on you. If we extend that so that we get from the moment of resignation the notification that yes, this role is now up and running, and hopefully people are getting this, but we all know that hiring managers sometimes drag their heels a little. They don't necessarily get things moving as fast as they could, and suddenly we're under the pump, or we need to actually get candidates through fast. We're playing that time pressure game. By measuring from moment of resignation, we've got a period where we're still revenue positive. Then the candidate leaves, or the person leaves, we move into that revenue negative piece until we get the hire. That empty chair is a cost to the business. Being able to measure on that and understand what the impact of not having that person in the role was means that as you go back to the people, your hiring managers, your leaders, you can say, I understand why the business needs this. I understand the impact of not having it, and it makes you seen as a better leader and part of the business, aligned to the business. If you want to get into real fancy metrics, proper data analytics, playing around with the idea of a potential impact score. So if you're looking at where people can be upwardly mobile once they come in, or what the potential for innovation is, we look at alignment with the business, how they measure up against the goals and the culture. Emotional intelligence, cognitive capacity, their drive to change, curiosity and creativity. All of this stuff can be measured through the assessment as you're bringing people into the organization. As a result, you can get the potential impact score, PIS, of a multiplication based on the bottom. You'll get this. If you're interested in talking about advanced analytics, I would love to have a chat with you, because I'm a massive HR geek. And with that, I haven't changed your mind, because most of you agreed that it was a terrible metric. but I'm really glad to hear that that was the case.
Woo! Thank you. Right on.
I think I was 1 second over.
Oh, that's great. Better than I could ever do. So we've only got one question come through. So if you've got any questions, please pop them in. We've got 2 minutes now for questions. These are rapid fire. So we'd love to hear your thoughts on how to measure cost per hire beyond just recruiter salary and agency fee.
Oh yeah, no, so absolutely. If you understanding your entire cost per hire is really important. So yes, you've got the fees, yes, you've got the salaries, but you've also got the cost of the equipment, the cost of the tools, any platforms that you've got in place, any subscriptions, all your license costs, all of that in your marketing, all goes into being your total cost. So you need to have a handle on every every piece of spend you've got across your P&L essentially, to be able to actually get that down.
Yep, love, awesome. What is your argument to convince exec it's a terrible metric?
Because it's not aligned to their business. If you want us to focus just on the recruiting and just on this little space that we're looking after here and be totally insular, fine, let's do that. But if you want us to actually have business impact and drive success across the entire organization, let me work with something that's going to actually meet your goals and your needs, and we'll work together to develop the right metrics for that.
Awesome. We've got the cost per hire. How does the hiring manager, what if the hiring manager is obsessed with time to fill? We've all had that before. They really want to know what that number is, or even your own manager. How do you talk to them about it?
I think it's a matter of show and ask. So if you can show someone, this is our metrics, this is the time to hire, and this is the impact that it'll have. But more interestingly, let's sit down and have a look at what other metrics would show us. So you can actually visually start showing them the benefits and the changes that would come if they were looking at wider or more appropriate metrics for the business. That's what's going to get them along board. I use show and ask because it's not show and tell. I show and say, is this going to meet your needs? Where else can we add value? Because if you can do that, you get them talking, you start to understand their needs and their goals.
Amazing. We've got 3 seconds, so right on time. Thank you, everyone. That was
Play
great.
netball.